coming up this week on the Course of Life podcast, the FedEx Cup Playoffs underway, and in Memphis we had major drama with a finally victory for Willie Z. A lot of drama there to review, and some notable absences last week as LIV versus the PGA Tour in court officially began, and a whole lot of other great headlines from the world of golf. We're tuned into some tag and upcoming content. That's right, a little content tease coming your way. And this week's guest, we have sportscaster, big-time golfer Hailey Hunter on. She just worked the Korn Ferry Tour's final event of the season. She has a lot of cool perspective from her broadcasting days and talk from the Olympics as well. And a special season upon us, and a whole lot of dessert action from Mike, as we always end with food. All of it brought to you by our friends at Desert Fox Golf. They make not only the phone caddy, Mike, but now their expansive line of Desert Fox products. I know we got something in the mail here that has become very useful. I mean, is this not the age of having the stainless steel bottle on the go to just transport liquid? I know I need it in 100-degree Texas summers. I don't know about you, but it's become a staple, and it is on the golf course too. So I'm glad I got my swing aid now. How about you?
Yeah, you know, it certainly makes it a whole lot nicer to have something that's going to keep your water or whatever you got cold out there, as opposed to being in a plastic bottle. So, and the different tumblers they have are certainly enjoyable and make me feel very confident when I'm out there on the course.
Yeah, that's right. No matter what your game is, golfer or not, no matter what your walk of life, check out Swing Aid, Desert Fox Golf, everything they have to offer with not only the phone caddy, but their great line of stainless steel products, and much more to come as well, too, from our friends at desertfoxgolf.com. The promo code is Course of Life to save 10% off anything on their website. Promo code Course of Life to save 10% off desertfoxgolf.com.
Hello, interwebs, and welcome to Course of Life, part of the Morning Read Podcast Network. We are proud to be presented by our friends at Desert Fox Golf, Swing Strong, and D3 Golf. I'm Michael, he's Alex. And Alex, let's get right to the top headline of the last week that perfectly summarizes what we love in life. We love golf, and we love Seinfeld.
Two true things, yes.
So at the U.S. Amateur at Ridgewood in New Jersey, the featured group was Costanza, Newman, and Kramer.
And an absolute round of applause to the USGA, because they do this in a very catty way with the U.S. Open pairings. You remember they put Bernd Wiesberger and Daniel Berger together for the Berger pairing. They have a lot of fun with names, nationalities, likeness, cute little quips within their pairings, and they did it again with the Seinfeld pairing. So we had to shout out USGA right off the bat.
I just want to know, I'll be honest, I didn't follow any of what actually happened at the Amateur, but did Kramer hit his ball into a whale, and did Costanza have to fish it out?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is in New Jersey. I'm not sure exactly where Ridgewood's located, but if they're close enough to the shore, you never know. That's not too far from the beaches where Kramer was hitting, if you think about it. Very interesting how those are eerily close to each other. And my only other thought was, I was wondering if they were going to go to the Diner or Mendy's for the 19th hole.
Mendy's. So, you got to go to Mendy's.
Well, we'll see what comes of that. But shout out to the USGA. Had to be said, they always do a fun job pairing their golfers together, and no exception in New Jersey this past week.
Meanwhile, down south at TPC Southwind in Memphis, the FedEx Cup Playoffs began at the WGC FedEx St Jude Championship. I think I got that all in there. And it came down to a playoff between Happy Gilmore's caddy, Will Zalatoris, the thin rail of a man, and Sepp Straka, not a thin rail of a man, the big guy out there.
The Ox is his nickname.
Yeah, and we had a ball in the water on the last playoff hole, and we had a ball not in the water in between the wall and the grass. And it came down to not burning an edge finally for Will Zalatoris, and he claims his first win in 2 years. Are the floodgates now open? Is Will Zalatoris going to win himself a FedEx Cup, a Tour Championship, a couple majors in the next year?
Sure, yeah.
What do we now see in place, especially having done this like we thought might happen right after saying goodbye to his caddy.
That was interesting. He made that move, and a lot of people were wondering how long that transition would take as far as that relationship, because it's a pretty intimate one. And the answer is not long at all. He was ready to make that change, and he'd been long overdue forever. I've been shouting from the rooftops that I've been playing Will Zalatoris what felt like, I don't know, like 8 of the last 10 weeks. He's been out there. I swear, the guy has never been more overdue to win on the PGA Tour than any other golfer in the history of this podcast, for sure. $6.7 million in earnings before he gets his first win this past Sunday. So he'd been all over every leaderboard, small tournament, medium tournament, and the biggest ones with runner-up finishes at the majors. I'm just glad I was able to lay claim to the win. It was a 25-1 odds win that I tweeted out on Wednesday for our weekly picks. I'm at Course of Life 1 and you're at MWRINC, and I was glad to just get a W for the team there, because we were a little quiet the last few months. So I'm glad we could be part of the Willie Z debut victory.
Yeah, always a bridesmaid, never a bride for Willie Z finally getting that W. The emotion came out on the 72nd hole and just throughout, and him weeping in his fiance's arms as well after securing the win on the final playoff hole there.
A lot of close calls for him. It just meant more. Yeah. You could tell. And I mean, again, Azinger had his own fun with the cheap digs at the LIV, like as the broadcast was signing off. But that was just some real authentic drama with those balls hanging on the edge of the water for Straka and then eventually going in on the final playoff hole. I hadn't yelled that loud at a TV watching golf in a while, but it was great to feel those feelings again. And the PGA Tour produces those memories more often than not than any other tour we're seeing right now. That's just a fact.
Yeah, it's you may not win as much money on the PGA Tour every year.
As much, yes.
Then again, we don't really know if these guys are winning money on the LIV Tour at all when they actually win, and that came out during the temporary restraining order trial we had on last week, where Matt Jones, Hudson Swafford, and Taylor Gooch all tried to say that they needed to play in the FedEx Cup playoffs, needed to be allowed to play, that there was irreparable harm being caused to them. And we got a lot of juicy tea about what is actually going on in LIV Golf, and that a lot of these guys' contracts are set up so that their winnings are going against their contract amount, which is something we thought might have been the case. So we don't. A little
bit of an eyebrow raise there, yeah.
May not be for everyone, but it is especially for some of these guys. And there was the other thing that came out that said that some of these contracts might have been bigger to offset the expected losses from not being able to play on the PGA Tour.
Very interesting. Yeah, we had never really gotten our full eyes on the entirety of these players' contracts. We have just seen the insane numbers tweeted out and somewhat verified, but not fully confirmed. So this is the first look into that when we get into these litigation battles. And Jones, Swafford, and Gooch denied, essentially. They are not able to play in the FedEx Cup playoffs, so therefore they forfeit their spot in the playoffs. They were not able to prove irreparable harm, is what it came down to, and that was what eventually kept them out of the playoffs.
Yeah, and pretty much what the judge said too there was that there isn't really the harm here is that you're losing out on the money, and the judge is like, I always just award you money later, so that's your harm, and these guys aren't really in a place where they're going to lose out on the opportunity to play in majors.
And they want an emergency junction on this, on a Tuesday afternoon before the tournament starts Thursday morning. So just a little bit ridiculous, a little too late right there for those three specifically. But obviously, this is going to go on with time. There'll be no shortage of appearances by the entirety of the 11 that put that official suit together. So this is just phase one, but it is 1-0 PGA Tour for scoring at home.
Yeah. And then, of course, the rumors also coming out, which we had heard already swirling and like Cam Smith is done with the PGA Tour. He's going to play the FedEx Cup and then he's going to jump over to LIV Golf. Cam Young might be doing the same thing. And Cam Smith came out today. We're recording this as we usually do on a Monday late afternoon. Cam Smith not going to be playing.
Yes, ouchie. I'm hurt all of a sudden, and I don't want to put up with any more mockery and humiliation, and I'm just sick of hearing it from everyone. I already know the LIV direct deposit's going to hit any day now, so I'm just done. He's just not even going to bother with the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, do we think he's going to play in the Tour Championship? They say that he's still expected to play there. I think he's done.
That's it. That's a wrap on Cam Smith. The mullet's gone to LIV.
is so disappointing. You know, a guy like Cam Smith, if he's really going to live, this is the name now. You're taking the number 2 in the world. If he were to happen to play the Tour Championship and win, I'm guessing he probably would take over the number 1 ranking in the world.
Yeah, there was a lot of those scary moments as he was topping the leaderboard in Memphis where everyone's like, oh, God, what happens if Cam Smith wins the FedEx Cup Championship right in everyone's faces and then bolts to live? That would have been quite a middle finger on the way out, but it appears like we may be dodging that. And we're not exactly sure why, but yeah, Cam Smith out. He is checked out for sure.
I did also see something today. Tour favorite, though his play does not seem to reflect that. Ricky Fowler, that unfortunate 9, by the way, that he had. I loved his sense of humor after the fact, saying that, you know, he made 9 because his putt for 8 didn't break to the right. Seems to be there's suggestions now that he is not going to live. He will not go to the LIV Tour. So, I mean, if you've seen all the Ricky Fowler commercials on national TV that will run with regularity from gigantic billion-dollar corporations, you know that Ricky Fowler is really not sweating his bank account right now. Yeah. I think he's doing okay, despite his lack of progression in the golf department. So that's kind of everything going on a LIV Tour. We'll keep an eye on it. But meanwhile, the DP World Tour and the LPGA, growing and the game LET, as always. All 3 of them. Everybody growing the game as always. This is how you grow the game. Yeah, let's do a little smiley face now that we got through the doom and gloom and the drama in the game. These are the moments that we love to celebrate, and this was really cool. While all this is going on, our friends over on the DP World Tour doing awesome crap to make the game of golf more fun and enjoyable for everyone. That is just what they do. They just churn out awesome content, and they do it in the form of their tournaments, their formats, and their schedule. They're always innovating. This was a tri-sanctioned event, Mike. We had DP World Tour players, LPGA Tour players, and Ladies European Tour players all playing in the same course, same venue, 2 separate tournaments for men and women, 2 separate prizes, awesome constant action from a broadcast perspective, and just another cool way to facilitate just a massive amount of people and get them interested in the game. I loved it. Yeah, this is how you grow the game. This is not by throwing millions of dollars at people and not having anyone show up to your tournaments. It's by doing stuff like this. Yeah, and I mean, they've done with the Scandinavian Mixed, hosted there by Henrik Stenson and Annika. We've done the different point formats. We've done the team formats and the silly season for the DP World Tour. So I love the constant innovation. It's got to be shouted out. Basically, if you're looking for this, just when you pour your morning coffee, flip the Golf Channel on, and you'll find what I'm talking about. And they place it in some great destinations too. So enjoy the DP World Tour while you can. Let's also give a shout out to a past guest, Taylor Montgomery. He's got his tour card in place now. Officially, it's happening. He's coming to the PGA Tour. It's very exciting. Last event there at the Pinnacle Bank, where they gave out the 25, and Taylor knew he was a part of that for a couple months. It wasn't official until recently, and today was the day where he actually laid claim to his own PGA Tour card. We're going to get in contact with him soon, maybe even before next season starts. You know, plan a little schedule out, see what he's got intact in his game plan for the fall, how heavy he goes on the schedule there before the winter break. So lots to break down for him, but exciting times, and we'll get to follow the rookie journey from a really cool perspective. So shout out to a friend of the show, graduating to the big tour. Love it. Let's look ahead to this next weekend. The FedEx Cup rolls on to the BMW Championship at Wilmington Country Club in Delaware. Yeah. What? Yes, the Wilmington, Delaware, correct, is the PGA Tour stop. And no knock on Wilmington Country Club. It's just a brand new venue. I knew nothing about it when I was writing my preview, but you can check out my full preview and picks at runyourpool.com in the poolside post section for PGA. I put a preview there every Tuesday, so you can take a look now and see who I like. But as for the venue, there's not a lot to know, Mike. This is a brand new track, so do you lay down more money on the guys who are hot and the top players in the world and hopefully they just figure it out faster than the other guys? Or are you picking, a guy like a Lucas Glover who shot up 70 something places and has played his way through and is looking to get into the top 30? It's kind of the yin and yang this week, which I talked about a lot in my article. I may still once again put another dollar down on Tony Finau because he played pretty well this past weekend again. He was sniffing the top of the leaderboard for a little bit. Didn't seem to have the right charge there, but he's just playing great golf right now. Certainly one of the hottest players in the world. I don't know if Willie Z can follow it up with another win here.
Yeah,
but
and I mean, for Tony Finau, maybe just the top 10 bet too. If you don't feel like he's going to actually get the W, just bet him to be in contention. I like that play. As for guys who kind of I feel like are due for a bigger week, who tend to play well at these new blank slate venues, I'm looking at Patrick Cantlay a lot on courses like this. This seems to fit his eye from a statistical perspective on the quick little models that I took a look at as I was writing the piece. And Justin Thomas had a decent week as well last week in Memphis. Not great, didn't propel too high in the leaderboard, but he's striking it well enough to contend at a course like this. So take a look at the full picks on my preview. But interesting always to get this blank slate because we know nothing. We don't know the angles on TV. It's all going to look brand new to us, but it's the playoffs, so it should be fun.
That's right. We'll have our full picks up on Twitter as well on Wednesday evening, so take a look out for us there. I'm at MWRINC. Alex is at Course of Life. Alex, for now, let's switch over to Tuned In, where we share what we're tuning into outside of the world of sports. Alex, what were you checking out this week?
Yes, this is an interesting one, and you'll appreciate this. I think the movie Dodgeball has finally infiltrated itself all these years later and actually birthed what's happening in our actual life and what we're watching on sports. Because back in the day, Mike, the term ESPN, the Ocho, was basically a joke to us.
Yes, it was.
It's something you would say, but you knew it didn't exist. But some people actually thought it existed, and you'd have to explain to them as a sports fan, no, it doesn't actually exist. But theoretically, if Dodgeball was going to be on ESPN, it would be on ESPN, the Ocho one day. Well, they've been doing the Ocho Day the last several years on August 8th, where they've played some really cool stuff and alternative stuff. And one thing that's definitely graduated and is now getting legit airtime on ESPN is World Chase Tag. And I don't know if you've seen this before, but essentially it's a one-on-one tag game. There's teams of, I believe, 5 or 10 guys, and it's just 1 versus 1. One is going to tag and one is evading the tag, and they have a 20-second timer and a gigantic obstacle course and jungle gym in a square setting. And it's very fast-paced. There's great pace of play, unlike lots of things we see in the world of golf. And I find myself entertained. So that was a neat find for me for the week that I've seen a lot more of recently.
Yeah, I have seen videos of this, and I'm just always amazed that these guys are able to run around this obstacle course and not get horrifically injured.
Yes, there are wipeouts, but they seem to jump back up a lot faster than you and I would. We would have bruised bones and be complaining about aches for weeks if we took some of the wipeouts that I saw this past weekend out there. But the pros know what they're doing. There's some slick little 18, 19-year-old kids that are dominating the sport. So check out World Chase Tag if you're looking for just an alternative sports experience.
You know, for me this last week, I did a little shopping this weekend because I was just kind of looking through my wardrobe, and I've gotten rid of a couple polos in there that I haven't really been wearing. Some that are kind of wearing out maybe a little bit. It's time to refresh the wardrobe. Okay. Went up to the outlets. The wife and I were walking around a little bit too, and saw a Greg Norman store. And she
the empire of Greg Norman has gotten right in your backyard.
She was like, "Why don't we go into Greg Norman?" And I was like, "Fuck no, I'm not giving him a penny of my money. He's getting enough from Saudi Arabia." So
Mike stands
we
his
didn't
ground
go in
on
there.
it.
Went to a Travis Matthews store. They actually had a sale going on, which is nice because we know their stuff's expensive, but it's really nice. So I got myself one of those, which I'm looking forward to wearing when we meet next in just 2.5 weeks, Alex. We're going to see each other face to face for the first time in 4 years.
We are in a very unique destination, Mike.
That's right.
Have you been to New Mexico before?
I have never been. I've been to Arizona. That's the furthest southwest. That's the only southwest destination I've ever been to.
Okay, I've been to southern New Mexico, but I've never been to the northern half of New Mexico. So we're heading between Albuquerque and Santa Fe to the wonderful Hyatt Regency Tamaya Resort. This is going to be an awesome excursion for us, little COL playcation action. And you got it. You are going to be hitting some shots on camera. So you got to be looking fresh and clean each and every day.
And first of all, my swing is infinitely better looking than yours. Without question.
On camera. Okay, yeah. All right. Yep. Well, I'll sign off on that. Yeah.
Yeah. And now I'll also be much more fashionably in style than you.
That we can debate when we get there. I'm going to save that debate for a couple weeks from now. Yeah.
But looking forward to wearing that and feeling confident on the course, because as we have always said, we've said this since we played together in college, you have to feel like you belong on the course. You have to feel confident.
when you
with
often
whatever you're
are or
wearing in there.
don't too.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how your game is. If you feel confident with what you're wearing, and you're gonna have more fun, you're gonna play better as a result. Typically, that's how we feel. So
yeah, that's Bible right there.
It is. So we'll have all that coming up in the next couple of weeks, and it'll be exciting. But for now, let's get into this week's guest. This broadcaster was just on the Golf Channel airwaves at the Korn Ferry Tour Finals. She's even worked the Winter Olympics last year in Tokyo.
Yeah, that's freaking awesome. That's one of those things, and I mentioned this when we speak with this week's guest, Hailey Hunter. It's like one of those just mic drop, like, oh, you worked the Olympics. Like, oh, okay. That's just like, it immediately puts you in a certain class of broadcasting, and that's a bucket list event. But there's a whole lot more that Hailey has gotten to and is going to get to. And I really enjoyed profiling the up and coming career of a broadcaster that has a big background in golf as well, too.
That's right. And we'll get to that conversation with Hailey in just a moment. But first, let's talk about our favorite on-course betting app of the course of life. That's D3, $. We're going to be using it in a couple of weeks when we play each other twice in New Mexico. And we want to play all of you as well while we're there. And you can do that with us using the D3 Golf app.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you sign up for the D3 Golf app right now and you're listening to this podcast, download the app, send me a message, and I'll go ahead and I'll hook you up with a little surprise for joining the app, and we'll have a match, you and I. And that's right, I am talking to you at home right now, listening, contemplating downloading the D3 Golf app. So there's our little tease right there, because we're gonna have a match of our own in a couple weeks as well too. So we got to generate the hype. We got to get people to join the fun, because it's an easy, fast way to play, gamble, receive, send, deposit, transfer money quickly with your friends, and wager the way you should, which is correctly with strokes and handicaps and course difficulty. So check out the D3 Golf app and get to betting today. Next up on the tee, we have a sports broadcaster who was born on the rink and made it quickly to the golf course after. That's what she covers best. I'm glad she could join us. It's Hailey Hunter on the course of life. Hailey, how are you?
Hey, I'm great. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. Glad to have you on. Let's start there. Growing up on the ice, I'm envisioning baby Hailey barely able to walk, or not even able to walk. So your bio says, and skating on the ice. How early did you first get out there?
Yeah, it's funny. Most people talk about their first experience learning how to skate, but I actually don't remember really learning how to skate, because as you said, I learned to skate before I could walk. But yeah, my dad was a former player and coached my twin brother's hockey team. So I literally just grew up at the ice rink my whole life. My parents joke that when I was like 3 or 4 years old that I thought that the ice rink was my house. I just wanted to be there all the time. So yeah, super fortunate to have grown up around such a great game.
So do you like the AC, like really cool now as a grown adult, since you were so used to being ice cold as a kid?
You know what's crazy is I actually get cold really easily, and it doesn't make any sense, right? Because I grew up at the hockey rink. I grew up in freezing Northwest Michigan, but no, I actually like it warm. Maybe it's the golf course that got to me.
I guess so. Yeah. So let's flip to the flip side. When was the first time you set foot on a golf course as a kid? Do you remember how young you were?
Yeah. So when I was like 4 or 5, my dad and brother were really into golf. My brother's my same age. He's my twin. And I would go with them to the golf course and just kind of ride in the golf cart like most young girls do. I was never really into the sport. I thought it was boring when I was little. I would choose to stay home and do laundry with my mom instead sometimes. But then finally, my dad signed me up for this junior golf program at the golf course we were members at when I was 9. And I just caught on really quickly, loved it. And that's kind of when I caught the golf bug.
Nice. So I want to get to that parallel, setting the stage there with golf and hockey, because I grew up in the Northeast in Massachusetts. I played on the golf team with a bunch of hockey guys, and I know you love using the term slap shots for both golf and hockey. I've had professional hockey players on here, hockey players, golfers that play hockey. Talk a little bit about the parallel between the two and maybe how it helped you play.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously hockey was my dad's number one sport, but golf was a close second for him, because for hockey players, they have summers off, right? So they spend all summer playing golf. That's kind of like the main sport in the summer that you can play if you have a summer off season. And so my dad was a really big golfer, and that's why I got into golf. And it kind of just worked out because our family was so busy with hockey season. And then in the summers, we would basically live at the golf course. So that's how I was able to get really into it. And yeah, I love referring it to as a slap shot, actually, because my swing, people always joke that I'm John Daly's daughter because I have a really, really long, powerful golf swing. It doesn't look like it's supposed to, but hey, it works. I still hit the fairway.
Yeah, I've been following for a few years now. I noticed that. I like that you just take it all the way back, no fear, pass parallel if needed. I appreciate the aggressiveness in the swing, and it does mimic that slap shot motion, which I saw time and time again growing up. So I think it helps you out a little bit. The one thing I did obviously notice is you're a lefty as a girl golfer too, as a lady out there. I'm curious what that was like maybe growing up. I'm sure you get all sorts of random comments about how rare it is all the time and how they've never seen it before. But what was that experience being like as a lefty, maybe growing up playing the game? I'm sure it might have been a little harder to get the clubs, or no?
It was. Things are so much better now, but I remember we couldn't just go to, a Dick's Sporting Goods or a PGA Superstore and get some clubs. We'd always have to order them online. But yeah, when I was 9, when I finally took those junior golf classes and my dad took me to the range and I started to get into it, he had me hit both ways, lefty and righty. My mom's a righty and I actually am supposed to be a righty. So she encouraged me to not try and be like my brother and my dad and do things the way I was supposed to. But me being stubborn and just being a little girl wanting to be athletic like my very athletic dad and twin brother, I decided to make myself learn how to be a lefty. And I think I kind of had a natural lefty swing motion because I always grew up with lefty hockey sticks and mini sticks around the house. And yeah, I just kind of learned to be a lefty and wanted to be like my dad and brother and went from there.
Okay, cool. So let's get into the weird lefty-righty split because I have a strange one myself. I am generally a righty. I write with a pen righty. But the things I do lefty are I'll kick a soccer ball or something better with my left foot. I like to throw underhand with my left hand, but throw overhand with my right. So
Okay.
what are your differences across the board?
That is very interesting. I haven't actually heard that one before, but I write with my right hand. Let's see, I eat with my right hand. I throw a baseball with my right as well. I kick with my right. It's just really the lefty part of things comes in for a swing motion. So golf and baseball and hockey are all sports that I'm a lefty in.
Very cool. I love it. It's you and Hailey Ledbetter.
Yes, love Hailey.
Representing the female lefties out there.
She's one of the few female lefty golf friends that I have. I'm trying to think of who else I know. She's one of the few.
Yeah, list is short. That's cool. I love that. Again, it's Hailey Hunter joining us here on The Course of Life. Let's transition to how you got yourself into broadcasting. I randomly found my high school radio station and fell in love with it from there. But I know you were playing sports growing up. What was the allure for you to potentially look into being a broadcaster or study journalism more?
Yeah, I mean, when you're thinking about what you want to do when you grow up, you think about things you're passionate about. And I loved sports, but I also love to talk. Every time we have dinner in my family growing up, they just call me chatterbox. I would just talk the whole time. And my dad's kind of more of a quiet guy, and my brother is a little bit too. So I think maybe that kind of created a space for me to always be the one to start the conversation. But I just knew that I always loved talking and meeting new people. And my mom suggested that I get into doing the morning announcements in high school. So I started doing those. We had a little TV show actually at our high school where I would do the morning news in an anchor type role, and found that it came very natural to me, really, really enjoyed it, and decided to combine the two. So broadcasting and then sports, which is my passion. And that's what made me start looking up schools to play golf at that had really good broadcasting programs. I remember I was looking online with my dad for the top 10 and Ohio University came up. And I honestly, sadly to say this now, because I love my school, I had never heard of Ohio University before. And that's why I decided to go there.
Nice. We're both Bobcats at Broadcast Journalism School, actually. I went to Quinnipiac, the Quinnipiac University Bobcats in Connecticut.
Oh, no way. There we go. Love it.
Cool. You guys, Ohio, you're in the MAC, right? The Bobcats, is that right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Very cool. Awesome. Yeah, that's a neat school to go to. Interesting you landed there, but it's served you very well. Let's get into kind of the different roles that you've had along the way. And I wanted to start with your time at the LPGA Tour, because correct me if I'm wrong, but did you not intern there first before you actually worked there? Is that right?
Yeah, so I kind of had a big decision to make when I was a senior in college, and I decided actually to not go straight into broadcasting and to turn pro in golf, which is how I ended up in Florida, where the LPGA is. Went to qualifying school, kind of realized I was ready for to go into broadcasting. So only did that for a few months, but that's how I met the LPGA, and they allowed me to do an internship and just kind of worked my way up from there with them.
That's awesome. I guess let's give a quick little maybe business thought or someone for our younger audience. There's a lot of people right now that are in high school or college and are wondering about, internships and how to convert those to full-time opportunities. How did that work out best for you?
Yeah, you just have to be the hardest worker in the room. It sounds cliche, but it's true. I actually was offered, I was living in Tampa at the time, and it's about 2.5 hour drive to get to Daytona Beach where their headquarters were. And they offered for this to be a remote internship. But I knew that if I was going to get hired full time, that it would be best for me to be seeing everybody and getting to know them in person. I mean, just, a lot of things are obviously done remotely nowadays, but you can't beat that face-to-face interaction. And so I interned with them for 4 months. I actually stayed with an Airbnb family for 3 to 4 nights every week to be able to stay up there. And then I would drive back to my place in Tampa. And I was working as a bag girl at the time at the golf course that I was training at. And that was how I was paying for the Airbnb. So, I mean, I can't stress just, if you want it that bad, you really have to work hard and be the last one there at the internship every day.
Yeah, the Airbnb is the commitment. How was the family, though? Were they nice?
Oh, they were so nice. The sweetest little Chinese family. They had broken English, but they were just so sweet to me, would send me little notes when I got home. Loved them.
Cool. All right. So I guess let's get to where I started following along. I think I maybe started following in maybe 2019 or 2020, just as the world got really crazy. And you had a move of yourself that I remember took place right as COVID began. Now, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but tell me about everything that happened with your decision to move to Mississippi for the TV reporting step in your career and all the crazy timing surrounding it as well.
Oh, yes. Well, I mean, as you know, it's just super hard to break into this industry. And I had a lot of, I was second pick for a lot of different hockey team jobs at the time. I was honestly kind of discouraged. And I was like, gosh, do I need to go and build my resume and go into local news? And I didn't really want to do it. I had heard how much of a grind it was, but I realized I, wanted it bad enough. And so I fortunately received a job offer with WJTV 12 in Jackson, Mississippi. I looked them up. It's a huge sports community there covering SEC football every weekend. I felt like it was a good opportunity. And so I took it and did not know a pandemic was going to hit as soon as I moved to Mississippi, which was already kind of probably a top 10 state I wouldn't have ever thought I would move to. But yeah, I got to Mississippi and 2 weeks later, COVID hit and they were like, all right, all sports are canceled. So I was worried about keeping my job at the time.
I'm sure you felt great about that sports reporting position right when sports were canceled, right? Yeah.
Right. I was like, come on, I was trying to chase my dream and now sports are canceled. It was not ideal.
Honestly, one of the most memorable pieces of content that I remember from you is actually the quarantine chip shot content that you create. I'm guessing that was probably just out of sheer boredom, right?
Oh my gosh, sheer boredom, did not know anybody. We weren't allowed to go anywhere. So yeah, it was just FaceTime interviews in my apartment. And then I would watch, Happy Gilmore, my favorite movie, and just create different putting contests or chip contests in my apartment. But hey, it kept me sane.
It did. Check those out. It's Hailey Hunter on Instagram. Be sure to search and find _Hailey Hunter. All right, so that was the grind that got you to where you are. Now let's talk about the really awesome stuff, the cool freelance content that I've seen you do recently. It's Hailey Hunter again joining us on the Course of Life. And we got to start with the one that just supersedes everything because you can cover a lot of sporting events in the world. But if you say, and you have the honor to cover an Olympics, that just pretty much supersedes everything in my world. And you had the opportunity to go to Beijing. Tell us what were your highlights of that experience in reporting at the Olympics? Unbelievable.
Yeah, it was amazing. When the opportunity was presented to me, I basically had to decide right away, which obviously easy decision, but I was with the New York Islanders hockey team at the time and they were super supportive in letting me go. I had I knew about it a week before I was flying out to China. So it all happened very quickly. It was a little nerve wracking at first, just not knowing kind of with some of the strict protocols they had over there, what would happen. But fortunately, everything ended up going really well. I was healthy. I didn't get COVID while I was there. They did a good job with the bubble. I was in my hotel, and then I was on site. So we couldn't go anywhere. That was the only downside to it. But as far as covering the Olympics, like you said, I mean, there's really not a bigger milestone. And I almost felt like being able to see the emotion and how hard the athletes work in their faces. And especially with this Olympics meaning a little bit more with how much they had to go through struggling wise during all the pandemic and their facilities being closed. I almost felt like I wasn't worthy of interviewing them because I was like, oh my gosh, like these athletes work so hard. They have tears in their eyes. They just want a gold medal. And how cool that I get to be the one to tell their story. I'll never forget that experience. And I'm so blessed for the opportunity.
Yeah, those are like life moments. You and the mic in their hand when they just won an Olympic medal. They will remember you forever from that. I'm curious, what event did you cover that maybe like impressed or surprised you with intensity the most?
Yeah, I had 4 kind of random events that I didn't know much about. Obviously became an expert studying while I was there on these events, but it was aerials, moguls, snowboard cross, and ski cross. And the interview that stood out the most to me that a lot of people probably remember seeing was an interview with a snowboard cross medalist for Team USA. He was the only American representing Team USA there for the men in snowboard cross. His name was Nick Baumgartner, and he just so happened to be from Michigan, my home state. And so he had a really emotional interview saying he's 40 years old. I don't know how many more years I have in me to keep competing. All I want is, a gold medal to be able to show my son Landon what happens when hard work pays off. He had a high school son, and he was just the most emotionally drained, just so sad, seeing him not qualify in his single event. But then there was the pair event with Lindsay Jacobellis, and they both won together 2 days later. And I got to again interview him after that moment. His family was talking to me over headset because I brought them in to talk to him live. And when I told them that I was also from Michigan, they cheered and went crazy. So it was really cool to be able to not only interview him after that moment, but to be able to interview a local Michigander.
Yeah, that's right. And by the way, I love that you introduced me to the term the mitten from Michigan. I mean, I've never been to the States, so I never heard of it before.
Yeah, I always say that, assuming people know what it is, but I think it's more of just a kind of, if you're from Michigan. But yeah, our state's shaped like a mitten, and it's freezing in the winter where we're always wearing mittens. So that's kind of the go-to term.
I love it. Let's talk about your time with the USGA, the organization we all love. And you got to cover U.S. Women's Open Pine Needles. What's your favorite part of covering a USGA event? It's got just that little bit more prestige than your average maybe LPGA or professional golfing event. And the USGA, they take those tracks seriously too. What stuck out most to you that week?
Yeah, the thing I love about it the most is, and I tried qualifying for the U.S. Open when I was competitively playing as well, is that anybody can qualify. So yes, a lot of LPGA players are there playing in it, but you have some of your amateurs who made it all the way to qualify for the US Open as well. And so to be able to see some of those storylines of people who were able to qualify for it in addition to the professionals, it's my favorite part. Sometimes, you'll have like a 12 or 13-year-old who happened to play well in the qualifiers, and there she is playing in a US Open. So that's the part that I love about it the most. But just the overall aura when you walk around the course, it's just a different level of prestige. And just to be able to feel like I'm a part of that, I've been to Augusta before for the women's amateur, and it was kind of similar to that feeling of just prestige and like, wow, this is really cool that I get to be here.
Yeah, very neat site Pine Needles was. And yes, I just got my first Augusta trip a few months ago for my lifetime.
Oh, awesome. It's totally different than anything you've ever seen, isn't it?
It is, and I couldn't believe how much elevation change there was. The TV just does not justify how hilly that course is.
That was my biggest takeaway as well. Yep.
Yeah, very cool. Let's talk about the hockey dream, because I know we started with hockey. Let's talk about the Islanders and your time you got to spend there. Obviously, reporting on the team day in, day out, living that hockey dream of following a team. And they played a very unique venue, or did, the Coliseum, the barn. Just tell me about the experience finally, getting up in the NHL ranks for yourself as a broadcaster.
Yes, I had wanted to do that for so long. I loved my time in Mississippi, pretty much covering every sport you can imagine. But the one sport I didn't get to cover was hockey. And just, like we talked about earlier, me growing up at the ice rink, I really felt like I wanted to go home and cover the sport that I knew the most and grew up around. So very cool experience. I actually got to open their brand new arena, UBS Arena for them.
Yeah.
We were at the Collie for a while. Actually never got to go to the Collie and experience the barn, but plenty of fans told me so much that I feel like I've been there a million times. But this brand new arena, really, the fans deserved it after all their time at the barn. And it was cool to be able to be the host that kind of opened up everything with them since the first game there at UBS Arena. Love the fans. Long Island fans are just your true diehard hockey fans, super passionate about their team. And although the Islanders didn't have the season that they could have had, they have a lot of talent on their team, a lot of potential. I think they'll be a lot better this season. And yeah, it was awesome. I mean, every day at work was at the hockey rink, so kind of felt like I was at home.
Love it. Yeah. NHL teams, if you're listening, we got a hockey reporter ready for you here. Who's ready for
There you
go. Again, __ Hailey Hunter. Let's get to some quick shot questions now. And let's start right there. You spent a little time in New York. I would contend New York is one of the most amazing and diverse food cities. We love talking food here on the podcast. There's so many different cuisines you can have there. I'm curious if there was one specific food, cuisine, or place that stuck out to you in your time in New York City.
Well, I already loved Italian food so much, but New York does it different. Just every chance I could get going out to dinner, I would get Italian food. But there is a place that I loved and could not stay more than 6 or 7 days away from, and that was Uncle Bacala's. It's in Garden City in Long Island, and I would go there, like I said, probably once a week. I'd get to go food from there all the time. It's the best Italian I've ever had. Highly recommend it.
Yeah, I think Italian's one of those food genres where good high-level Italian is like better than good high-level like any other cuisine.
Big time. Yeah, definitely my favorite.
You had the honor of being on the first episode of Holy Moly. We've had several Holy Moly alumni on here. We've had the host Joe Tessitore on the show as well too. What was the most unique part of that experience? We've highlighted pretty much every angle of that show, but I'm curious what your takeaway was from being on Holy Moly.
The funniest part was I was in the finals and I had to make about it's probably more like 20 feet actually. And that the prize was $25,000. And it was hard because you would wait, like 6 hours in a tent before you finally got to go out there and do like your one putt or play that one playoff hole. And so I felt like I wasn't really, in the groove and didn't really have my putting stroke going. But I got out there and I just slipped out my putt. And then actually the girl that I was playing against didn't have much golf experience and she made her putt. But I was so happy she made it and ended up winning the prize money because from what I heard, she actually really needed the money. And it was kind of a cool story for her to have won. So happy for her. But the funniest part about that was we had a hole where there was a distractor. And our distractor to distract us while we were putting was Kenny G. And I didn't know who Kenny G was.
Oh,
so
geez.
Rob Riggle actually made fun of me on live TV and was like, she doesn't know who Kenny G is. And I really didn't know who it was. So it was funny for people to watch because people were roasting me because he didn't distract me at all. I had no idea who he was. I was like, who is this guy playing a saxophone?
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, he does have a pretty high status in the musical world, but only if you're into that specific type of music. So if you're not listening to a lot of jazz regularly, it's probably easy to miss him on iTunes.
Yeah, thank you. You get it.
You've done a lot of amazing things in broadcast. I'm wondering what's still out there, though. What are the other mountains to climb, dream sideline broadcast gigs you have your eyes on?
Yeah, no, I'd love to cover golf more consistently, which I really am. I mean, I actually am doing a lot of different things this summer. This month of August coming up, I'll be at a few different golf tournaments covering them. But I think my ultimate goal would be to be the interviewer, interviewing the Masters winner at some point. So that's a big dream that I'm working toward, and we'll see if I get there.
You know what? We should have someone like you in Butler Cabin. I'd love that presence. That's a nice dream to aspire for. The other question I had is tying hockey and golf together. I've had the privilege of actually seeing a lot of different hockey players play golf, and there's a lot of really good ones. One notable one that sticks out to me is Grant Fuhr, Hall of Fame goalie, who is also an amazing stick himself. I'm guessing you've probably seen a lot of hockey player golfers in your day. So I'm curious maybe who's the best one you've ever seen.
Yeah, I definitely have. I'd love to say my dad. My dad's a great golfer, but no, I'd probably say, let me think here. Jeremy Roenick, I have seen him play at one of our LPGA celebrity events when I was with the tour, and he had a really good swing. So I'd probably have to say Jeremy.
Love it. Yeah, he's a legend in the game for sure. Let's finish with our 19th hole question, which we ask at the end of every interview. Specifically for you, Hailey, when you get in the clubhouse after a long day on the course, what is your go-to order at the 19th hole? Your favorite meal and drink to have at the end of the day on the course?
Go-to order. Well, what I would always do growing up as a junior golfer, and I feel like I'm still this way, is I'm so simple. A basket of chicken strips and fries, not the healthiest, but that has always been my 19th hole go-to meal. How about that? Yeah,
you know what? The tenders and fries is just, it's so universal at golf courses. We get it. We've all signed on to having chickens and tenders and fries at every golf course. So
it just hits right. Exactly.
Yeah, it does. Hailey, thank you so much for hopping on the Course of Life. Again, looking forward to following your broadcast career and seeing where it takes you next. A lot of future interviews for you, and hit them straight as well.
Thank you so much. You as well. I appreciate it.
And we're back. Great chat there with Hailey. Michigan the Mitten, looks just like a mitten. That's true. It does.
Yeah, just one of those right on my nose things I never quite really thought about. And it's a fantastic nickname. I appreciate that she popularized that, and definitely gives off the Michigan vibes with the golf/hockey background. She could skate before she could walk, Mike. That's how you know you're from Michigan, right?
That's very Happy Gilmore right there.
It is. Yes.
Yeah. How appropriate, given that Happy's caddy finally won. So,
Oh, wow. You just brought that full circle there. Well done.
I did. That's what you get here on the Course of Life. You get full circle storytelling.
See, and our parents thought those communications degrees would never pay off, but they are right now.
That's right. Good old Quinnipiac bringing us back every week here on the Course of Life. And if you like what we're doing here on the podcast, plus everything else you see on our socials and whatnot, go ahead and punch that subscribe button. Leave us a rating. Follow us on the Instagrams, the Twitters, the Facebooks. We're not on TikTok or anything. Maybe we should be. I don't know. But go ahead and punch that button and let us know how we're doing.
Love it. Let's get to some quick football talk, Mike. I can't believe I'm saying that. Been a little bit, but very, very not real fake football is back in the form of the NFL preseason.
Yeah, I literally don't even know. I literally don't even know what's happening in the NFL right now.
It's really so bad because the teams are taking it. Would you believe it's now that it's only 3 games of preseason football? They're actually taking it even less serious than they were when there was 4 games. So the first game is basically just like a walkthrough with the 2s and the 3s, and like very few of the starters were playing. But your boy Daniel Jones had a nice drive to start the game against the Patriots backup. So shout out to him in year 4, finally figuring it out.
So the Giants and Pats played in the preseason. So how bad was it at the end of the day for the Giants? How many points did we lose by?
Oh, well, unfortunately, you got us again. It's unbelievable. What? You guys have have some sort of hold on us as a franchise, a city, and a power of work. Last second field goal, you did it with the leg this time instead of the arm or the helmet. If you remember those moments, you did it with the leg, last second field goal. The Giants beat the Patriots at Gillette Stadium. It's unbelievable. Like, even when it's a meaningless August game, you still have to throw the blanket over me like that.
So this means I'm going to do now, like I do every week during the NFL season. Giants just beat the Patriots in the preseason. Giants are going all the way.
Yeah, it's rolling over, right? It's rolling over to January, right?
It's happening right now. Next week, it's going to be the complete opposite. But right now, Giants going all the way. All the way. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, so we're through 1 week. We're doing some joint practices with opponents' teams this week. And my upcoming travel plans as well, too. I'll be highlighting the 3rd and final Patriots preseason game. I'm heading to Vegas next week, and I'm going to Pats Raiders at the new Allegiant Stadium that they just built for the Las Vegas Raiders. So I'm looking forward to doing a little new stadium tour content coming soon here on Course Life as well.
I like it. Can't wait to hear about the food there, too, because now it's time to hashtag always end with food.
Yes, let's do it. Brought to you by our friends at SwingStrong, getswingstrong.com. Let's get to that magical time of the year, Mike. Here we are. You and I are recording here as this episode drops on Tuesday, August 16th, and it's here. I know you think it might be too early, but I think it's just on time. Pumpkin spice season has arrived at Dunkin' Donuts. As you are listening right now, pumpkin spice iced coffee, pumpkin products are being dispersed to the masses. It's still 104 degrees here in Texas, but I'm not going to let my mind play tricks on me. I believe what I believe, and I'm just excited to go get pumpkin spice everything for the next 2.5 months.
You know, you and everyone else who is so ingrained in pumpkin spice culture disgust me.
We can shove it. I know we're very annoying people, but we band together this time of year. It's never too early for a PSL. Unfortunately, I haven't gotten an official release date from Starbucks yet. They are lagging a little behind. It's going to be soon. But Dunkin' Donuts fans, I'm seeing August 17th, Wednesday. So the floodgates should be open by the time you're hearing this. Go get that pumpkin. It's time.
For me this week, I did absolutely nothing with pumpkin. I will say the wife made apple butter this weekend.
Ooh, yeah. That's kind of a little bit of a precursor to the fall right there, too.
So,
I like that.
Yes, so she did do that. I, however, made a challah with za'atar. I don't know if you know what za'atar is, Alex.
No, I don't think so. You've obviously gone through challah in many forms that you've done before, but what's the za'atar's piece specifically?
So za'atar is a Middle Eastern spice. It usually has sumac and sesame seeds and salt and pepper and some other stuff in there as well. So that's what it is. So this was a garlic and za'atar challah. This is very good. It's great with some dipping oil at dinner. It's a little bit of herb oil. Makes it, bring a little bit of the Middle East into your home with this.
Yeah, was that challah where you went viral and got some nice little play for your reel there on Instagram at MWRINC?
I guess so. People really liked the video of it, everything getting mixed together in the mixer for 1 minute.
It's amazing, just like how the most simplistically awesome things can just generate on social media in 2022. It's a strange world out there.
Yeah, it is indeed. But it turned itself into challah, and it was pretty good. So I'm happy about it.
Holla for holla. Nice work out there. MWRINC if you want to follow, and at AlwaysEndWithFood for more of our food content. Thanks again for tuning in to another great episode of The Course of Life. We'll see you all next week.